The Story of Human Migration, How We Spread Across the Globe. Part 1, The Beginning, Life in Ancient Africa. Long ago, before cities, before farming, even before the idea of countries, there was only the land, the sky, and the people. And those people lived in Africa. This is where the human story begins. Our species, Homo sapiens, first appeared in Eastern Africa around 300,000 years ago. They lived in small groups, moved with the seasons, and hunted wild animals. They gathered fruits, roots, and seeds. They used simple stone tools, sharpened rocks, shaped by hand. They made fire. They made language. They made stories. They were us. These early humans were resilient. They adapted to changes in weather, fought disease, and learned to survive together. They knew their land intimately. But over time, something pushed them to move beyond it. Maybe it was the changing climate. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was hunger. And so began one of the greatest journeys in the history of our species. Part 2. First Steps Out of Africa. Between 70,000 and 100,000 years ago, small bands of humans began leaving Africa. They followed coastlines, rivers, and game trails. The most accepted route today is the southern coastal route. Humans likely moved out of East Africa, through what is now Ethiopia, into the Arabian Peninsula. From there, they hugged the southern coast of Asia, modern-day Yemen, Oman, and into India. These migrations weren't fast. They took thousands of years. Generation after generation pushed a little farther. They adapted to new climates, deserts, jungles, forests. Everywhere they went, they left traces behind. Stone tools, charred bones, footprints fossilized in ash. These weren't mass migrations. They were slow ripples spreading out over the continents. Part 3, How We Know. Fossils, DNA, and clues in the earth. How do we know where humans went and when? Archaeologists study tools, bones, and cave paintings. Geneticists study DNA passed down through mothers and fathers. Geologists examine ancient soil, volcanic ash, and pollen. Together, they piece together our story. From caves in South Africa to high mountain passes in Tibet. From ancient footprints in Saudi Arabia to early tools found in India. One key clue comes from mitochondrial DNA, passed only from mothers. This allows scientists to trace maternal lines across continents. These genetic breadcrumbs show that nearly all people alive today share a common African ancestor. No matter where you're from, Europe, Asia, the Americas, your roots trace back to that same origin. Part 4, Into the Ice, Facing Ancient Climates. As humans moved into new regions, they faced ice, snow, and bitter cold. Around 40,000 years ago, people entered Europe during the Ice Age. The land was harsh. Woolly mammoths roamed the tundra. Caves offered shelter from the wind and snow. There, early humans left handprints on cave walls. Red ochre, charcoal. Images of animals they hunted and worshipped. They developed better clothing, made from hides. They shaped tools from flint. They formed stronger social groups. And they weren't alone. Europe was already home to another kind of human, the Neanderthals. Part 5, Meeting the Others. Neanderthals, Denisovans, and us. We weren't the only humans on Earth. There were others. Neanderthals in Europe and Western Asia, Denisovans in parts of Asia. They were close cousins, not our ancestors, but part of our family. For a time, we shared the Earth, and in some places, we shared more. Evidence shows that Homo sapiens interbred with both Neanderthals and Denisovans. Today, most non-African humans carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA. People from parts of Asia and Oceania also carry traces of Denisovan DNA. These encounters were rare, but they left a legacy in our genes, a reminder that we are not alone in our ancient story. Part 6, Into Asia and Australia. From India, humans moved east into Southeast Asia. Over generations, they reached what is now Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia. Then they built boats. By at least 50,000 years ago, humans crossed open water and reached Australia. This was one of the earliest sea crossings in human history. The land was unfamiliar. Marsupials roamed the wild. Giant flightless birds stalked the forests. The first Australians adapted quickly. They learned to use fire to shape the land. They developed deep spiritual connections to nature. Their descendants carry some of the oldest continuous cultural traditions in the world. Part 7, Into the Far North, and the Companionship of Dogs. As humans continued moving north and east into Siberia and Central Asia, they found vast, empty landscapes. Here, something remarkable happened. Wolves began to follow human camps. They scavenged scraps. Over time, a bond formed. The first domesticated dogs may have appeared 15,000 to 30,000 years ago. Dogs helped humans hunt. They provided warmth. They guarded camps. This partnership between human and dog may have helped us survive the coldest places on Earth. Part 8. Crossing into the Americas. Around 20,000 years ago, the last great frontier awaited, the Americas. During the Ice Age, sea levels dropped, creating a land bridge between Siberia and Alaska. This bridge, called Beringia, was wide and frozen, a corridor between two worlds. For years, it was believed that humans crossed into the Americas around 13,000 years ago. But new discoveries challenged this. Footprints found in New Mexico, dated to over 21,000 years ago. Stone tools, butchered bones, and campsites buried deep beneath the soil. Humans may have been in the Americas much earlier than once thought. They spread quickly, south through Canada into the United States, Central America, and eventually South America. They adapted to jungles, mountains, and deserts. In time, they built civilizations, the Maya, the Inca, the ancestors of today's indigenous peoples. Part 9. Settling, Farming, and the Dawn of Civilization. For most of our history, humans lived as nomads, but around 10,000 years ago, things changed. In regions like the Fertile Crescent, in modern-day Iraq and Syria, people began to farm, they planted wheat, they domesticated animals like sheep and goats, villages became towns, towns became cities, civilization was born. But this didn't happen everywhere at once. In many parts of the world, Australia, the Americas, Africa, people continued to live as hunter-gatherers for thousands of years. There was no single right way to live. Human adaptation took many forms. Part 10. One Human Family, The Legacy of Migration. From small groups on the savannas of Africa, to the icy tundra of Europe, to the high mountains of Tibet and the steaming jungles of the Amazon, humans moved, explored, and endured. We crossed deserts, sailed oceans, climbed mountains, and survived glaciers. We created languages, cultures, and gods. We fought, we loved, we learned. And all of it began with a single step, out of Africa, into the world. We are one species, one global family. Our differences are small. Our shared history is vast. This is the story of us.